Good morning, good morning. It is currently 7:45 a.m. Thursday, June 2nd, and it is a mostly cloudy 76 degrees in Mabin, Mississippi. It's in Tibaha, Mississippi. It's Oktibeha. Not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but Oktibeha. Anyway, so I just left the pilot down the road, and man, I was glad I got there early. I was able to find a parking spot, even when I got there at, it was probably pushing 6 p.m. when I got there. It was starting to fill up, and when I left this morning, there were trucks parked on the street, on the road right outside of the pilot. It's right at I-55 and U.S. Highway 82 in Winona, Mississippi. But it just kind of brings me to to a topic that I've heard a lot recently about getting electric semis. I've heard a lot of politicians and some people talk about we should have electric semis. Well, where are they going to plug in at when they're parked like that? This pilot had about 65 regular parking spots. Probably had about another 10 to 15 make your own parking spots, which is usually along the scale and along the curb. But then when I left this morning, there were probably 10 or 12 trucks parked on each side of the dead-end road that runs right in front of this pilot. The only thing that's on that road is a Freightliner business and the pilot. So there's plenty of room for them to park there. But what's going to happen when they can't charge, and also what's going to happen when you get a couple hundred semis in an area trying to charge. There's one truck stop up on I-80. It's the world's largest truck stop, and I think that has something like 900 parking spots. Not sure if it gets full, but what's that going to do to the local power grid when you have that many trucks trying to charge at the same time? I don't think that people really I assume they don't really think that through, because nobody ever really talks about it. Nobody says, oh, hey, the power grid's going to be fine. They just say we should have electric semis. Say we should buy electric semis because that'll help fuel prices go down. But anyway, that's kind of my take on that. So I'm doing a little introductory video. I posted one video already, but I tried doing a YouTube channel before, and I think my low-tech butt kind of deleted everything, because I had posted some videos, but I couldn't find them when I did a search on YouTube. So I decided I would try and figure out what was going on with my channel, and honestly, I think I just deleted everything, and now I'm starting over. But anyway, so a little bit about me is I'm a flatbed driver, and I'd like to talk to you guys about my load and tell you guys and let you guys look at my view while I'm doing this. But I also got some other interesting stories I want to tell you, because before I was a truck driver, before I became a truck driver, I spent 25 years as a cop in a very busy, medium-sized city. Half of that was spent as a detective, and probably a good portion of that was spent investigating violent crimes and homicides and a whole bunch of other crimes. I've investigated everything from a $10 theft to a quadruple murder, and everything in between that you can never even think of. And what I want to do is I want to share some of those stories. Primarily what got me interested is I've told people, some stories before just in general conversation, and they had no idea of the things that we do on a daily basis. I was a detective for about 13 years, and in that 13 years, I investigated anywhere from 100 to 150 cases every year, and that was just me. I then also helped other detectives investigate cases, so I bet I was assisting on probably another 100 to 200 cases a year. And we had 30 detectives, and each squad, and I've moved around to every squad, so that's why I've done everything from a $10 theft all the way up to a quadruple murder. And I was a very well-rounded detective and was very good at what I did. Not to pat myself on the back or anything, but I was the detective that got calls to voice their opinion on cases. I would get calls from sergeants and lieutenants just to basically cover their butts because they want to make sure that they were making the right decision. So that way, if anything comes of it, and if their supervision ever asks them about why they did what they did, they can then say, well, I ran it by detectives. And I wasn't the only detective that got this treatment by any means, but I was definitely one of the few that did. And I gave advice to people that the bottom that outranked me. But anyway, so I think I want to talk to you guys on this video really about what it's like to be a cop. And I promise you, I try to make it interesting. And this conversation comes about because several months ago I had a conversation on my Facebook with somebody that I had gone to high school with, who was they weren't really bashing cops, but they were like, cops need to be trained and have more training, and they should have to have bachelor's degrees and this, that, and the other. Well, here's the problem. We do go through training. We basically go through a crash college course in the academy, and then after that we have mandatory training every year, and then we have elective training every year that a lot of people like to do, a lot of cops like to do, and then we have a lot of cops who do have bachelor's degrees. Okay, there are a lot of cities that require a bachelor's degree. Fortunately, mine didn't, because I'm probably in the minority, to be honest with you, of cops who didn't have a bachelor's degree. And there are cops that have their bachelor's, there are cops that have their master's, and there are cops that had their law degrees, or that were working towards their law degrees as a cop. Heck, we had a cop that decided to quit and go to medical school. He's now a doctor. And he was definitely one of these people that just didn't need to be a cop. And we have plenty of cops down there that are just like that, that are very, very smart individuals. And I think that the biggest weapon that a cop can have, because no matter the education, no matter, what kind of degree you hold, I think the best weapon that a cop can have is a quick thinking mind. Because situations that we get involved in are fluid and can change at the drop of a hat. And we have to be able to change gears, whether that be speed up or slow down, and we have to change directions, whether that be veer off one way to another or do a complete 180. And we have to be able to do that at the drop of a hat. Okay? We may be on a daily on a daily basis, and I'm sure that I've done this multiple times, but on a daily basis, we are thinking about things like the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment. I know there's more than those amendments, but those are what I call the big four. The First Amendment being freedom of speech, Second Amendment being right to bear arms, the Fourth Amendment being search and seizure, and the Fifth Amendment being self-incrimination. And that's things that we got to think about pretty much on a daily basis. And not only that, but we got to also think about Supreme Court decisions and other court rulings. You know, we got to think about like MAPP versus Ohio. We got to think about Terry versus Ohio. We got to think about the Carroll Doctrine. We got to think about Miranda versus Arizona, or Arizona versus Miranda. I don't remember, but that's the whole, you know, you have the right to remain silent stuff. You know, that's the stuff that we have to think about in a stressful situation, and we got to be right about it. You know, we got to be, you know, we may be dealing with somebody who doesn't want to be arrested while they have their family member or somebody else is standing by watching us, maybe videotaping us, talking about that they know that we can't do what we're doing because their cousin is a first year law student, and they told them, and they saw this on Law and Order and that on CSI, and that kind of stuff actually happens. You know, maybe not in that verbiage, or you know, but that's happened to me. You know, in a general sense, that kind of crap has happened to me. I had a guy tell me one time, you know, that he knew I couldn't make him give up his ID because he was a law student, and he just knew. And then when I got done finishing our business, and I'm sure that, you know, I got his ID from him because I educated him on my level of knowledge. And I asked him what kind of law he was going to practice, and he told me that he was going to, or what kind of a lawyer he was going to be. And he told me he was going to be the kind of lawyer that would sue people like me for malpractice. Well, I'm sure I had a snide comment because I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff, pretty good at little one-liners. And I told him that he should probably do a little bit more, he should pay a little bit more attention in class because cops don't practice law. That's reserved for lawyers. Malpractice suits are reserved for people like lawyers and doctors who practice things. Cops are enforcers. We don't practice. But that's, like I said, just the kind of stuff that we got to deal with on a daily basis. And it's in a, you know, and we're already in a stressful situation, and people just make it even more stressful. And we got to think about those things and make decisions that may alter somebody's day or even change their life, whether that is arresting somebody or putting somebody in handcuffs and having them sit on the curb as a temporary detention, or using force against somebody. You know, our actions could drastically change somebody's life or livelihood. And we have to be right about that. But then when we make those decisions, the attorneys, they get to sit back and, you know, we send our charges over to the DA's office or whatever, and they get to review our case and make sure that we did everything right, and do their research and decide whether or not to charge somebody. Well, then a defense attorney gets involved, and the defense attorney gets to do the same thing with our reports. And then the defense attorney gets to research case law and file motions, and basically gets to armchair quarterback everything that we did just to try and get their client off, whether they did what they are accused of or not. And they get to spend days, weeks, or even months sometimes to research, review, to ask opinions of other attorneys, and then they're going to argue that before a judge. They're going to take their motions before a judge, and they're going to give the judge their reasons as to why the case should not be moved forward, and the reason why charges should be dismissed, or the reasons why certain evidence shouldn't be able to be used. And sometimes those motion hearings, you know, they might take an hour. Sometimes they might take days. Sometimes a motion hearing, you know, you might have multiple motion hearings on the same action. I had one of those cases. In fact, I've had two of those cases that I can think of right off the top of my head, to where we had multiple motion hearings based off of my same action. Now, granted, everything stood. They were never successful in suppressing the evidence that they were trying to suppress, and but that's what it's like. And then when the judge gets the case, they then get to do the same thing. They get to take days or weeks to review everything, to review transcripts, to review case law, to review everything at their disposal, to make the decision on whether or not we made the right decision at the drop of a hat. So what I would usually tell people is being a cop is basically like being a lawyer without a law degree and a social worker without a social work license. But instead of being able to do our homework before we decide what to do, we have to already have that knowledge in our heads, and we have to be able to access it during a stressful situation at the drop of a hat. So that's basically what it's like to be a cop on a daily basis. I mean, that really just kind of scratches the surface. There's a whole lot more, and I am of the opinion that even our biggest critics would have at least could have at least a different understanding of what we go through on a daily basis if they were to follow somebody like me around for a week. Because there are a lot of people that just have no clue what we do. In fact, I saw a YouTube video one time of a guy, I think he was a pastor. I don't remember what state it was, but it might have been, I want to say it was in Oklahoma. There was a use of force situation, it was a shooting, and basically the police department invited the pastor to take part in a shoot or don't shoot situation and shoot or don't shoot training that we go through. And he shot people that didn't need to be shot, and he was using I don't remember if he was using simunition rounds or if he was using a fake gun and just saying bang bang, but he even said that that he had a new respect for what we do go through and the decisions that we have to make when we have to make them. And he was, one of these people that was marching to have the guy fired, to have the cop fired that used the force. And to be honest with you, I don't remember anything about that case. I don't remember if it was justified or not. But I believe it was, just because they basically invited this guy in to defend their officer's actions. So, but he clearly had a different understanding of what we go through. But anyway, I promise my stories are going to get better. I promise my stories are going to be good for some of you guys. And I get it that some may not get any entertainment out of it, and that's okay. And let me tell you, if you want to comment, make a comment. I'm going to have all comments turned on. I guess there's an option to have potential hurtful comments hidden, but yeah, no, I'm not soft. I will talk to almost anybody about almost anything. Okay, that's just the way the world is, and I get it. There are people out there that's going to troll me, and I get it that there are people out there that's going to disagree with me, and I am definitely open to having those conversations. So if you like my videos, hit the like button, share, talk about it, message. You guys have a good day. Until next time.